Cursor 1.0 is actually insane, but unfortunately, I don't mean that in the good way. With that said, they did introduce some cool features that we're going to take a look at in this video. And funnily enough, my favorite one isn't really one of the main points, so stay tuned to know what the feature is. So the first thing that they released is something called BugBot, and this is, as his website states, an automatic code review tool. And honestly, I was quite disappointed by this, since there's already so many tools doing this exact thing. For example, CodeRabbit, Copilot, I mean hell, it's even built in nowadays into GitHub itself. If we go ahead and open any PR basically, you can click on reviewers and select Copilot. And now AI is reviewing your code. Now of course the quality will differ since Cursor is meant just for coding, but just keep this in mind because this is actually a separate subscription. So this will not be included in your existing Cursor subscription, which I personally found extremely egregious. How can you do that? And the concept itself is also quite silly, honestly. So if you go ahead and take a look at an issue or a PR where I use this, you can see here that cursor.com, which is a bot, is in my reviewers, and here's the review it did. Now to be fair, this is actually a good review since I forgot to account for use case, and then it also lists the issue itself, but then it doesn't even do a suggestion, it only shows you this fix in Cursor button, or rather a deep link. And this is actually my favorite thing about Cursor 1.0, and it's deep links. So if you click on this button, for example, it'll open Cursor for you. Let's say always open Cursor. Now I have the wrong branch opened, but it knows that already, and so let's check out that branch. Yeah, just stuff like that. For example, it should probably recognize that this is already merged. And really, this should already recognize that the PR was merged already, but for some reason it wasn't able to do that. But this is basically my favorite feature of Cursor 1.0, and it's these deep links. And that's actually not the only thing you can do with them. You can go to cursor.com/tools or docs.cursor.com/tools, and if it loads, you'll see a list of MCP servers that you can one-click install into your Cursor instance. This is honestly quite game-changing, and I wouldn't really recommend using their specific directory for MCP tools, as it's quite small honestly, but it still does the job. So if you click on add GitHub to Cursor, it will obviously open Cursor again, and then it's just added to MCP server, or it gives you the option to. We can fill this out later. Let's click install, and I'm not sure why that didn't work. So let's go ahead and try again. So something else must be the issue here. This did work before actually, so I know it's not their fault, but I probably messed something up. Now, I wouldn't really recommend using this directory since it doesn't have that many entries, honestly. You will probably be better off using some other kind of third-party website for that. But yeah, just little stuff like this. Like, I honestly don't know how they ship this for production. Probably just to please the investors, since they did recently just raise like $900 million, their Series C. But still, I mean, like, are you not ashamed of yourself? What is this? And yeah, they were even so nice to give me like a little trial, which is now basically expired in 10 to 20 minutes, which will expire in exactly 20 minutes. And the next thing they added is called background agent. And now we're getting more into the nitty-gritty of it. So this is much better than the previous feature, since this is actually integrated into Cursor IDE. So let's go ahead and have a look at it. So now I'm in my Shiori code base, which is my own AI chat app, by the way. Also on the screen, you'll see a discount that you can get 80% off with on your first month. And it's only $10 without. Anyways, so if you go to the chat and click on this, or click Command E, will open up this window right here, and make sure you don't select max since it uses a lot of tokens. Let's just say that. Oh wait, can you even turn this? I was just about to say that you couldn't. Okay. Thought they forced you. Oh, they are forcing you to use max. That is disgusting. Oh my god. You pieces of garbage. I actually might cancel my Cursor subscription just because of this. How can you force me to use max mode? Are you crazy? Anyways. It's all for the demonstration. Let's select Force on it, might as well go all out. And let's actually go to Notion and pick an item out of this backlog. For example, clear the input at the start of the handle form submit function. If I copy this into Cursor, it should set up GitHub Connect. Okay, so I have to set up GitHub first. Let's do that real quick. So now that I've logged in, let's go back, and it's showing me new background agent. Okay, so it's basically doing it. Oh, it's spinning up a Ubuntu server for this, or sorry, Ubuntu. So it's basically very similar to Codex, which we tried out a couple days ago. Let me show you real quick. And in the logs here, you can see that it also spun up a server, and you can see that it actually like has access to an entire system, not just the code base. Yeah, it runs commands like ls, and I think pretty sure this is actually a Docker container. This doesn't seem like a Docker container to me, but it could very well be. I'm not sure. Oh, so it spins up a Cursor instance but in the cloud. So this is very similar to the online VS Code instance, which is quite cool, honestly. So I should just be able... That's crazy. Am I actually able to search for the files? Page.tsx. Yeah, well, it's basically impossible since it's very slow, but you should... Oh, wait. I'm not sure what happened here. Ah, this was an extension of mine. Can you please just give me the file already? Finally, thank you. This is quite cool, honestly. I can dig this feature, but I still won't use it just because they're forcing me to use max mode, which is disgusting, honestly. But yeah, it's finished. Now I can just hit create pull request. Even opens it up on the browser for me. And it still uses my account, which is a bummer. Please don't. But it probably pre-fills the values. Yeah, it just pre-filling the values. This is quite cool still. So now I can create this pull request. Now let's review it using Copilot just to make sure that Cursor did it right. And probably should review it as well. Yeah, honestly looks good to me. Let's do this. And obviously I can't approve it since it's my own PR. Let's just submit the review. And this should pass. Let's merge this. Let's just make sure it's on the correct branch. And here's the trick. It directly wants to merge into main, which we don't want to do. Let's change the base to dev. Yeah, looks fine. Let's merge this. Now we can just delete the branch. And this is basically how it works. Now I'm pretty sure I disabled BugBot. Let me see, did I actually disable it? Because I don't want to use it. It's garbage. Please don't. Integrations. Okay, let's just disable all. Weird. Last time I saw this, there was literally nothing here. Dude, just please don't use any of these features. It's literally all just garbage to please the investors. So yeah, the best thing to date is still just coding raw with the tab completion. And sometimes you can use the agent to maybe get something repetitive done faster. Let's close this PR. Don't want to see it again. Yeah. If we go back into the changelog, we can see that now it also has support for agent. If we go back to the changelog, we now see that it also has, we know that it now also supports Jupyter Notebooks, which it didn't previously. I honestly didn't know that, but it's quite cool to know that it now supports them. Now, another thing is it supports memories now, so it can remember specific things about your project. Honestly, I will never use this. Literally never, because, well, actually I could see this being useful in the context of coding, but in general for my own like AI chat app, I don't use memories, although I do have them since some user requested them, since some users did want that feature, but me personally, I don't even use it. And yeah, they just now and now they also talk about the MCP one-click install, which did not work. It also now has richer chat responses, meaning it also includes diagrams and stuff into its responses, which is quite cool, but honestly kind of useless for me. I don't need to see a diagram, except maybe if you do architectural changes using Cursor, but why are you doing that is the question. And other than that, honestly, not much. Yeah, max mode, which is garbage. Please don't use it. They have a new tab model, which is quite cool. It's quite fast. If you didn't know, they actually acquired a startup called Supermaven, which is now Cursor. So they didn't actually build a foundational model for their tab model, but I don't really care about that. The most important thing is that it works. And yeah, there's really not much more here. But yeah, all in all, I have to say I'm quite disappointed by this Cursor. I do not understand why you released this update, how you were even able to release it. If I'm not even able to install MCP servers just with one click, even though you recommend, even though you're saying I should be able to, come on. You are worth how much money now? Billions of dollars? Even though it was only a fork in the beginning, now it's starting to evolve into this kind of broader AI thing, which I'm all for if they can do it right, which clearly we can see they're not. You need to get your stuff together before you bring out another such disastrous update. I hope they got flamed. If not, yeah, never using Cursor again, but they probably did get flamed a lot. Anyways, yeah, my recommendation, as I said, just keep on using Cursor with a tab model, nothing else. And once again, if you want to get an 80% off discount for your first month of Shiori, use this code at checkout. And with that said, see you next time.